Welcome everybody into Redacted on this Monday. You got me solo today. Natalie is off today. We've got a busy show for you because we're going to look at 10 days of this war and where do things stand right now. There's an enormous amount of propaganda, of course, being foisted upon the world through social media, spreading lies about what's actually happening. Curious, we've seen the photos now of the 7th American American soldier death in this war. CENTCOM confirming 7 deaths, but how many is it really? And why are they actually hiding the number of wounded? That number has not been reported. Is it because it would be wildly embarrassing and detrimental to the administration if the American people found out how many people have been wounded? We're going to talk about that and where things stand right now as the Strait of Hormuz is still shut down. Of course, oil prices spiking and then falling back, as President Trump today said, I've got a plan for oil. He's going to be speaking in about an hour and a half live about oil specifically. He's down in Florida right now, and a lot of conservative pundits are down there. Ben Shapiro is flown in. He's down there in Florida with all of them. It's that Republican retreat, which is happening in South Florida right now. So the president will be speaking shortly. Ben Shapiro and these other luminaries will be down there. So you know what kind of group it is. And we're also going to look at just the overall economic impact of this war so far. What does it mean for the American people, and what does it mean for gas prices? Of course, how many of you have been filling up over the past few days and noticed a huge spike in prices? We're in Colorado, here in the Rocky Mountains. I think Colorado has the cheapest gas prices in the country, mostly. That was until this weekend when the average price shot up significantly. So just to fill up my truck, I can, well over another like $25, $27 additional now. So we're going to start to feel this. We're going to start to feel this in food prices as well, fertilizer prices and everything. So we're going to get to all of that today on the show. We've got some special guests dialed in. So please get any super chats you have for our guests today. We'll read them to our guests and try to do as much interaction as we can here. And any questions you have about this war and where things are going. Obviously, if you're like a Fox News viewer, then you're getting like one side of this. I was at the gym today, and the Fox News TV screens are on there, and like they come right out of the top of their show, and it's all about how Iran is targeting civilians. Like that was the whole point of their show. Okay, so you're really informed if you're watching Fox News or any of the mainstream media, that's for sure. All right, we're going to get to all of your news here in a moment. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Mizzen and Main, because most dress shirts make you look, you have to choose, right? Do I want to look polished or feel comfortable? And I'm telling you, when I worked at Fox News, I would wear suit and ties like every day. I hated it. I hated it. And they were so uncomfortable. The shirts that I had, oh my God, they were the worst. When I got Mizzen and Main shirts, they are the most comfortable dress shirts I've ever worn, hands down. And you don't have to, there's no ironing, no steaming, no dry cleaning. When you take them right out of the dryer, they're just perfect because they're this performance fabric. Mizzen and Main actually invented the performance fabric dress shirt over 10 years ago. And since then, so many people have tried to rip them off. They're the OG. Their pants look great. Their shirts look great. They have the really nice, stretchy, lightweight, moisture-wicking material. And if you're under the hot lights, like in a TV studio, you sweat. And these things are so lightweight, you don't sweat. They're just fantastic. I really, really love them. Highly recommend them, especially, you got something coming up for Father's Day or Easter Sunday coming up and you want to get a new dress shirt. Check them out. Go to mizzenandmain.com. Listeners of our show get 20% off your first purchase if you use the code REDACTED20. And by the way, there's a couple of different stores. If you want to shop in person, there's Mizzen and Main stores in select states. Again, that's Mizzen, spelled Mizzen, and Main, MAIN.com. Promo code redacted20 for 20% off your Mizzen and Main order. Big fan of these guys. So thanks for supporting independent journalism, and thanks for supporting what we do here at Redacted. And I want to tell you about our friends at American Financing. One of our friends just a few weeks ago dialed up American Financing to refinance her home. And she's like, hey, she's a big Redacted fan, but she's our friend. And she said, I tried American Financing and I'm refinancing my home. And they were so fast. They were able to get their refinancing done I think she said 10 days. It was that fast. If you looked at your credit card statements lately and you're working, 40, 50 hours a week just to buy groceries and gas right now, things that you used to be able to afford, credit card companies are charging you over 20% interest for that privilege. And if you think about it, like over 24% in some instances. American Financing is doing something that these credit card companies hate. They're actually helping people. They have mortgage rates in the 5s. They're showing homeowners how to take their hard-earned equity to wipe out that high interest debt. The average savings is $800 a month. So you can talk to a salary-based mortgage consultant. No upfront fees, no obligation, just to see how much you can save if you start today. So that phone number, just give them a call, 866-890-8434, or go to americanfinancing.net/redacted, 866-890-8434 today, americanfinancing.net/redacted. All right. We good to go, guys? Just want to make sure we're all...
Yes, sir. We're good to go.
We're all good to go. All right. Thank you guys for joining us today. Again, getting any of your questions. We have our new social stream set up, so I can, we can pop these right up on the screen here now, which is so super cool. I think, well, if I click on it, it does. There we go, like Sneaky Fox. Go back to your intro. Why does Dan Bongino say that Epstein killed himself? Yeah, good question. Good question. So get any questions in, we're going to ask our next guest here in a minute. So we want to bring you up to speed on this war over the past 24 hours. Today marks the 10th day of this Israel war on Iran. CENTCOM just confirmed the 7th American soldier killed in this war. By the way, that's the number they're giving us. I guess shame on me for not believing our government and not believing those KIA numbers at all. And how many have actually been wounded? Why are those numbers being kept from us? Our sources have told us that the number of medevac helicopters and the medevac helicopter flights specifically in the past 72 hours have been flying virtually around the clock, stocking up medical facilities in many of the outlying countries, Dubai, the UAE, etc. Based on the quantity of flights alone, sources we're speaking to put the number of injured well over 135 soldiers. That's being very conservative. So I'm just giving you the most conservative numbers at this point, 135. Meaning injured people on board being transported to triage locations, mostly onboard aircraft carriers, of course, which are essentially floating hospitals. Very easy to keep those numbers hidden when they're on aircraft carriers, out of the prying eyes of cameras. Many others, Stuttgart, Germany, massive NATO U.S. base there in Stuttgart. Meanwhile, oil prices skyrocketing today, then plummeting after Trump announced a press conference which is going to take place in about an hour from now in Florida. It says, I've got a plan for oil. So it went up to about $117, then plummeted down to $90. See the volatility that's taking place right now. Iranian oil tankers being hit, of course, as well, by U.S. and Israeli forces. Americans may not see the death or the wounded numbers, but they are starting to see this war hit their families. Gas and energy prices now shooting straight up. So the mainstream media is now trying to soften this blow because someone at Fox News sent out this message. The new line is short-term pain for long-term gain. Watch.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain. Short-term spike for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain for American consumers.
We may have to deal with that in the short term.
Short-term and temporary.
Temporary short-term pain.
It's going to suck in the short term.
Some short-term pain.
Short-term pain. We have to focus on the short term.
Short-term.
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 Short-term and long-term.
Short-term blip. Hopefully this is a short-term pain. Short-term is highly outweighed.
So it's convenient that we get this attack on our network right as we're talking about the hidden numbers on the wounded and why they're hiding these numbers from you. It's very convenient, isn't it? 2 attacks now on our network. Right as we're explaining exactly what's happening in this war and why they're not telling you how many Americans have been hurt, perhaps permanently wounded. You know, when people talk about casualties and wounded in battle, this is not like they may just have a little piece of shrapnel in their arm. This is brain damage. This is loss of limb, permanent incapacitation. Why are they hiding this information from the American people? The number of medevac flights that have then gone to aircraft carriers into Stuttgart, Germany. Of course, no one in the Pentagon seems to be asking that question. None of those Pentagon reporters who are now like embedded in the Pentagon are actually asking those questions, trying to get answers for the American people. It's deeply disturbing. Let's take some of your questions here so we can figure out what's going on and if we're going to be under attack again. See if I can get it. Let's see here. Ozami says, yeah, I enjoy knowing that we are right on target. The harassment is the signal. The harassment is a badge of honor. It takes courage to go against them. So Chicken McGraw says we might have to file a FOIA request to get tonight's show. Again, how many of you honestly believe the number of Americans killed is 7 in this conflict? Just talk to military sources. They might give you a wink and a nod. Talk to the people who actively work at the NATO base in Stuttgart. Ask them if these numbers are accurate. They'll look right at you and laugh. But again, the press malpractice that is currently at play inside the Pentagon. It's absolutely brutal. So these individuals get, of course, embedded at the Pentagon, and they don't ask any questions. It's access journalism at its finest. Chris Rossini is the author of Set Money Free, What Every American Needs to Know About the Federal Reserve. And he has been watching, of course, very closely what's happening with this war and how it's going to affect the American people. Chris, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Sorry for all the technical difficulties we had, and unbelievable. Great to see you.
It's my pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having me again. So,
over the past 24 hours, we've, of course, seen oil prices spiking well over $117, then dropping down now because President Trump says that he's got a plan. So we're going to hear from him in about an hour down there in Florida. But getting just some of these other economic numbers out, even Bloomberg reporting this afternoon that consumers are staring down a barrel, as they say it, because even if they're able to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, this is going to affect fertilizer. You're seeing the price of soybean, corn, wheat skyrocketing because by the time that farmers are able to get this into their hands, it's already too late for these prices to be moderated. This is really starting to hit the American people head on. What do you think?
I agree. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but as you're messing with your internet, President Trump, it looks like he's looking to back down finally. He's saying now that the war is complete, coming to an end. So if that's true, if that's what ends up happening, obviously that is great news. Now he will spin it, of course, but let him spin it however he wants, because this was a big disaster. For all of us that don't watch TV, we don't get the spinmeisters. But with the oil, yes, the damage has been done already. It's just, will they continue the damage? We're looking at the biggest price or supply shock in history. So way to go, President Trump, on that one. The 20 billion barrels, whereas the second highest was, I believe, 5.5 billion. And all of this is now going to reverberate, kind of like all the stupid COVID policies. It reverberates for years. You don't just flip a switch and everything goes back to normal. And that's why I hope that, cooler heads provide and, that the damage could stop here, because the longer they go, the worse they're going to.
Yeah, you're coming back. You came back.
You're back now.
Okay. Sorry. So I was saying that
I'll verify you are up.
Okay. President Trump calling Russian President Putin to discuss ending the war in Ukraine and Iran. And also telling a CBS reporter that the war is pretty much complete. They have no Navy, they have no communications, they've got no Air Force. So this idea that we've obliterated them now, so let's just call it a day. And do you think that this has anything to do, Chris, with the anger that the United States feels, the animosity towards Israel for carrying out these attacks on the oil infrastructure and the phone calls that President Trump is probably receiving from the Gulf oil states?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I know a ton of Americans are very upset, and rightfully so, because, you know, he's basically admitted that he did this for Israel, which is terrible. That's impeachable in my eyes. You know, that's not why we elected a American president, especially him, to make America great again. You don't go to war for another country. Yeah, and, you know, especially with yesterday, them flirting with the word draft. I mean, half of the country can't stand Trump. They're not going to go die for him. And the other half is wising up, you know, at least on X and Twitter, you know, seeing that this was a major blunder. There is no unconditional surrender. It doesn't even look like they even want a regime change over there, because they're all celebrating that a Khomeini was replaced with another Khomeini in a similar fashion that it took us 20 years to replace the Taliban with the Taliban. So it's a major blunder. Trump will spin it, whatever. Just stop this madness is what I say.
So let's just talk about gas prices and what are we seeing now in terms of these oil attacks. And it's very hard to get information. You know, we're getting, of course, AI videos, fake videos about what's actually happening to the oil infrastructure, but there are some key pieces that have certainly got out there. We do know, obviously, what happened to the Iranian oil fields, Iranian tankers being hit, also attacks in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. So we know confirmations of those specifically. But what do you make of the shutdown, first of all, of the oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz, and what that's going to look like over the next maybe 72 hours and throughout the rest of the week, really?
Yeah, well, we now know what happens because it's always been speculation. Oh, Iran could close the strait. They could close the strait. It's never happened. And guess what? They did it. And the results, you know, are bad, very bad. And all around the Gulf, you know, the Gulf, that's where Iran, and, you know, they really did what they said they were going to do. Beforehand, they said, you know, if you attack us, we're going to attack your bases. And it's exactly what they did. And they hammered our bases. They hammered Israel. And that's why we're seeing our president starting to backpedal, because economically, and, you know, there are worse things than economics. We're having American soldiers dying out there. Ron Paul has for decades said, close these bases. Well, they didn't close them, and now the troops are dying, and we're being forced out, basically. So Iran did what they said they were going to do, you know, and I just wish, I have no love for Iran whatsoever. My beef is with my own government doing boneheaded things like this. So, we're feeling it at the pump. We don't have the means. We're losing jobs here. We're in debt, defaults. And the next thing we need is for our gas prices to skyrocket. I mean, what a bad timing for all of this. It was bad all around. But again, he's going to be the big winner in this on TV and everything else. So be it.
Yeah. I mean, let him have that victory lap, you know. Yeah. But of course, he doesn't meet his goals. I mean, I'm not asking you to give me military strategy, but the goal is, regime change. Now you have the son of Khomeini now, who is arguably, I mean, you killed his wife. You killed, I mean, how many members of his family? Right, you killed his father, you killed his wife. Now you're the head of that country. Do you think you're going to want to have a good relationship with the United States? I can tell you how I'd feel if someone killed my wife. Sorry, like, yeah, not exactly going to play nice. And then on top of that, this unconditional surrender. Like, what does that mean? It means you can't have any interaction with these Gulf. They laid it out point by point, right? You can't have any interaction with these Gulf oil states. You cannot have any nuclear power. Not nuclear weapons, nuclear power. You have to turn over all of your weaponry, all of your like long range ballistic missiles. You have to turn over everything. Why would they do that?
It reminds me, it was a much bigger scale of like the Versailles Treaty with Germany. It was the most embarrassing thing, something that Germans, were forced to sign. They would never agree to any of this. So they gave them something that they would never agree to. That's not negotiation at all. They were going to war, period, and they did it.
Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry, but we are network under attack and pretty much not able to do a show. So we're trying our damnedest here, but unfortunately, this is what we're at. Yeah, I want to take some of your super chats here. We see if we can get some of our guests back, if that's possible. I don't know, but they've done a good job trying to take care of this today. Anyway, all right. So let me just pause. Let me see if I can get my craft notes up here, which is also crashed. It's like everything. Thank you guys for your patience and your temerity. You guys on Rumble are incredible. It's like, what I love about the Rumble audience, you guys don't leave. Like everyone in the Rumble chats, like they're like, F you for messing with my show. We're not going anywhere. We're going to wait out these attacks. Then YouTube,
like Twisted Sister.
YouTube, of course, which is like suppressed and everything. Like you can see half the audience just dumps out. But
we're not gonna take it.
The Rumble audience, you guys are awesome. I'm just gonna say they're like, screw you. We'll wait it out. You're not gonna take, so. But YouTube loves to suppress our show. Everyone in the YouTube chat's like, I can't even find you on YouTube. Like every time you have to search for you. I don't even get alerts anymore. That's crazy. I mean, we got, let's see, Fuzzy Dice says, what the F is Rumble? Fuzzy Dice. Dozer says, I'm still here on YouTube. All right, we got like 5,000 people still on YouTube. So Remnant Disciple, you're still here. Good to see you guys. We're still here, Carrie says. And so you got a bunch of people still on YouTube, but certainly like about 5,000 people left, unfortunately, because that's just how it rolls. Unfortunately, when you attack our show, that's how it happens. But we still got many thousands of you on Rumble and X as well. So thank you guys. Angelo says YouTube is part of the technocratic syndicate. That is true, 100%. But actually, I should say most of our audience has now moved over to Rumble. It used to be the opposite. We used to get way more viewers on YouTube. Now it's like shifted dramatically. Rumble has like way more of our viewers because I think just people care about free speech. I think that's at the end of the day. And YouTube is such an oppressive platform. Let's see, a DDoS attack. Perhaps, exactly. We're trying to figure it out. We're literally on with the provider and the portal is shut down. Like everything is a mess. So it's on purpose. So thank you guys. Thank you. Okay, so I want to come back with some super chats. Any kind of chats, we'll kind of hang out here. We're trying to get our guests back, and before they attack our network again, we'll do what we can here, unfortunately. I want to tell you about our friends over at Van Man, because if you ever read what's actually in your toothpaste, fluoride, SLS, glycerin, foaming agents, chemical cocktail that you're actually putting in your mouth twice a day, Big Toothpaste has been selling you the same toxic formula for decades. But the Van Man company is changing that with their miracle tooth powder, and people are ditching traditional toothpaste by the thousands. Van Man's tooth powder uses real grass-fed cattle bone hydroxypapatate, the same mineral structure as your actual teeth, to remineralize and strengthen enamel naturally. You guys got to watch that full interview on our network that we covered about how you can actually remineralize your teeth. Dentists don't want you to know that. So you think, oh, I got a cavity, got to go get it drilled out. No. You can actually remineralize your teeth, but they don't want you to know that because they make so much money off of you. There's zero fluoride, zero SLS, zero foaming agents. It's completely edible because anything you put in your mouth should be. So make the switch to real oral care. Go to vanman.shop/redacted news. It's not .com, it's .shop. So vanman.shop/redacted news. And I love their tallow and honey balm. Oh my God. I put it on my face right after I get out of the shower because I live in Colorado. Everything's very dry here. Their tallow, I'm telling you, their beef tallow is fantastic. I shaved. See, I'm nice and shiny. It's on my face right now. I love it, actually. It's so nice. Anyway, make the switch to real oral care. Go to vanman.shop/redacted news. Use the code redacted news for 15% off your first order. It's vanman.shop/redacted news. Use the code redacted news for 15% off your first order. Van Man, real ingredients, no exceptions. And Better Wild. Huge fans of these guys at Better Wild. I mean, love our dogs. You know, my best friend is Grover. He's my favorite. Of all my kids, he's probably my favorite. No, I'm just kidding. But I do love I love my mini pincher, Grover. And you notice, like, when you're taking the dog out, it's like, why do they start, like, licking their paws, chewing their paws, stuff like that? Like, there's definitely a problem, right? Something's not right. There's some sort of an allergy there. And that's where Better Wild comes in, because when you realize something's wrong, you know, it's probably in the gut bacteria. And that's why you're trying to be more, if you want to be more intentional about the wellness for your pet, you've got to give them a try. Because scratching, licking, rubbing paws, shaking their head, eating grass, all of that is not normal. These are not normal dog behaviors. They're actually signs of allergies. And that's why you need strong gut bacteria. And that's where Better Wild comes in and helps your pet's allergy defenses by strengthening digestion, helping restore balance from the inside. They're the first and only chews with ancestral Advantage Wolf probiotics and natural ingredients. Right now, Better Wild is offering our listeners up to 40% off your order. BetterWild.com/redacted. That's BetterWild.com/redacted for up to 40% off your order. BetterWild.com/redacted. All right. All right, let's see. Let's see here. YouTube equals fascist tube. Travis says Trump needs to grow some balls and tell Israel to go to hell. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Taking too much money from the Israel lobby. I mean, AIPAC basically runs the United States of America, so that's not going to happen for sure.
Philip, you're not going to stream, Philip.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I was saying I think blackmail is involved. I'm not ruling that out.
That's true, yeah. Philip was muted there for a second. Threshold says, Clayton, talk about the wounded again. All right, I will. Let's see if the stream goes down when I start talking about it. So, if you missed earlier in the show, this is a big piece of the story that's not being covered, and I'm surprised why the Pentagon is so quiet about this and CENTCOM is so quiet about this. The number of American wounded in this conflict so far. So, if you missed the top of the show when I started talking about this is when our network was attacked and our show shut down. So I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to tell you all about it again in case anyone wants to know about it. So maybe we can even bring up the photos again. So today marks the 10th day of this Israel war on Iran. CENTCOM confirmed the 7th American soldier killed in this war. If you believe those numbers, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. The KIA numbers are, I'm telling you right now, are not accurate. How many have actually been wounded?
They're saying 7, and they got 3 in a van right there. That, you know what I mean? Like, half of them are just now.
Yeah. Why are those numbers being kept from us? Well, our sources have told us the number of medevac helicopter flights in the past 72 hours have been flying around the clock, stocking up medical facilities in many of the outlying countries. I've heard this from now multiple sources. Dubai, surrounding areas. So how many Americans have actually been hurt in this? Is that why President Trump is now trying to pull back on this? Because maybe those numbers are going to start to come out? You know, soldiers with brain damage, limbs blown off. We're going to learn about that. Based on the quantity of flights alone, sources we're speaking with have put the injured at well over 135 soldiers. And that, again, that's a very conservative number. I'm giving you the most conservative number possible. Some estimates that I've been seeing from different outlets and sources saying well over 1,000. But again, I'm going with the most conservative number of 135 based on my sourcing. So being able to be transported to these floating hospitals, which are these aircraft carriers, massive triage center. They are basically like massive massive hospitals, right? We know this. And they're being able to, that's how you can keep it very quiet, of course, is by having these flights land on the aircraft carriers. Many others, according to reports in Stuttgart, Germany, where there's a massive NATO and U.S. base there in Stuttgart. Of course, that's where Germany, of course, is where Netanyahu fled to. It's unclear if he's still there or if he's back now in Israel, but that's where he was initially. He might still actually be there in Israel. In Germany. So, American wounded being treated inside of Germany. I'd like to know those numbers. When are the brave, by the way, when are the brave Pentagon reporters going to ask any questions about this? Be curious about that. So that's where we are. That's where we are.
It's short-term pain, Clayton, for long-term gain. So
right.
That's pretty much what they've been saying.
Rabbi Schwartz-Meckel says, Representative Massey tweeted out something on the second day that said over 1,000 were dead. No. Bad Butcher, why are these not coming up on the screen? More than 400.
Yeah, they're now. They
Sorry, that was me.
Okay. Yep. More than 400, I've heard. Look at the U.S. military that was in Ukraine. When one gets killed, they would say just training accident or even health related. So here's what happens, right, with a lot of these families. They can't publicly talk about it. Many of them, if they're especially involved in these types of operations that they're trying to keep quiet, they'll sign non-disclosure agreements to try to keep it quiet. And of course, the family will be paid. This is what was happening in Ukraine. And the number of American NATO soldiers that have been killed in Ukraine. Have you heard about that? Have you heard reporting about the number of Americans killed in Ukraine? Probably not. We've covered it here on the show. But this is like one of the most hush-hush pieces of information. The number of Americans killed inside of Ukraine. Let me just pull up my own notes on this and see if I can.
That is if there were any U.S. soldiers in Ukraine.
Right. But of course, that's not true at all. The number of Americans dead in Ukraine is, let me just pull this up here. Philip, you don't have to show this, but these are my own private notes here. So this was as of mid-December, when we first reported this in mid-December. The number of NATO soldiers, including mercenaries, killed in Ukraine. This was mid-December when I first reported this. 297,000. Have you heard about that? 297,894 dead. Have you heard about that? Probably not. How much higher is that now after 2 more months of conflict in Ukraine? That's just on the Ukrainian side. So why haven't we heard about that? Like, have Polish families been told that their loved ones were killed in action against Russia? Have American families been told the truth about any special forces that were killed against Russia? Or they've signed an NDA, they're not allowed to ask questions? How many American families don't have a son anymore because they were killed in Ukraine and they're not allowed to talk about it? It's a shame. It's an absolute. I think this is one of the greatest scandals, and the Pentagon won't acknowledge it, of course. But the same is true of what's happening right now against Iran. So, by the way, the satellite image company that's able to provide satellite image coverage of these American bases is now blacking out the American bases. So we can't see the destruction of these American bases all across the region. So President Trump coming out this afternoon, basically trying to walk this back, this war. Yeah, we're going to, we want to wind this war down. We're done. We're kind of done now. We're going to declare victory. Oh, yeah. So you want to tell us about all of the military bases that have been destroyed? Can you tell us that? Can we look at the satellite imagery of it? No, you can't, because they've shut it down. So you can't see that. We're not allowed to see that. Can you tell us how many Americans were in these bases that were killed? Oh, 7? Sure. Can you tell us how many Americans have been wounded in these attacks for Israel's war against Iran? Can you tell us that? Can't tell you.
Were they basically saying all these army bases were just completely empty? All these bases?
Yeah, they're just totally empty. Yeah, they're totally empty. Okay.
They got 3.5 guys per
7
base.
janitors.
Yeah. Yeah, 7SB says that Redacted reported back in 2022 that NATO was involved in Ukraine's war. Thank you. Yes, we did. Thank you. But they don't want you to know about that, and they'll call you fake news, and they'll call you a Putin apologist or whatever, you know. Okay. Call me whatever you want.
Well, yeah, because I mean,
tell me how many NATO forces have been killed. Like, you can call me any kind of name you want. You can call me any name you want. I'll tell you, though, how many NATO forces have been killed in Ukraine. So we can play this little game. You can call me a Putin apologist, and I'll tell you the facts about how many NATO forces have been killed. Like, it's a fun game. I don't care. But I'm sure the families of those who have been killed in this conflict against these, you know, working alongside of like the SBU and the Azov Battalion and other Nazis. Okay. I'm happy to report that. Go ahead, Philip. Sorry.
It's okay. They kind of accidentally told us there were U.S. troops in Ukraine right at the beginning, because you remember very early on in that conflict, there were some bunkers that were hit that had military commanders, like U.S. Commanders in them, and they talked about it and then immediately went to the just trust us, bro. Nobody's in there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Someone says, are you... Sorry, the chat flew by too quickly here, but someone said, are you blaming Trump for Ukraine? No. It was, I mean, no. I don't think I even brought up Trump's name. However, the fact that this is still... Trump told us he was going to end that war on day 1. So at some point, it's not Biden's war anymore. At some point, you could have cut off the money and weapons to Ukraine, cut them off, because the United States of America is suffering big time and we don't have weapons anymore. We don't have Tomahawks. We don't have an ability to carry this out. The real truth about why Trump is now going in front of the American people and basically backpedaling, as Chris Rossini was talking about, and saying, hey, we're going to pretend that this war is won. We're done. Hey, you know, mission accomplished. We took out the Khomeini. We took out a lot of their infrastructure. Their air force is decimated. Even though all of that is a lie. The IRGC is... I spoke to sources today in Tel Aviv who said they're very concerned because the IRGC is ready to enter phase 2. So phase 2 with far more advanced weapons. So it's convenient now that we're suddenly pulling back. It's kind of like, come on, put up your dukes, put up your dukes. And then the big guy actually takes a swing at your face and you're like, you know what? You're not even worth it.
It's like Butterbean.
Right,
like very underrated. Like I'm gonna fight Butterbean, and then they get their ass handed to them.
So wait a second. We're about to enter phase 2. The IRGC planning massive attacks. You know what? You're not even worth it. We're just going to declare victory and we're going to walk away. So Trump had every opportunity to end the war in Ukraine. He could have shown incredible leadership and said, we're done. Sorry, Zelensky. And we thought he was heading that direction. He embarrasses him at the White House. He's like, you have no cards. You have absolutely no cards. So who has the cards? He does. Trump had the cards. He could have absolutely said, we're done. We're done. We're done money. Europe needs to step up and do it if they want to do it, but we're out. And then we didn't do it. Could have worked with Putin on a big peace agreement, saying, you know what, this land, sorry, Zelensky, you lost it. It's done. We're not supporting you anymore. But of course, the neocon CIA handlers that really run the show, like, that's the real story here. It's not Trump. It's all the handlers behind him. His power is very, very limited because he's in many ways a puppet. And almost all of our leaders have been, of course, since JFK. The last person to really speak out against this kind of stuff. That's what happens to you if you speak out against it. So I'm not blaming Trump for Ukraine. It was not his war, but it was his to end. And at some point, you know, more than a year into your presidency, like, you get to stop blaming the other guy. Like, the buck stops with you. So put up or shut up.
Yeah, because I mean, still sending money, still inviting him to the White House.
Yeah, we just sent new money to Ukraine. I mean, but we can't cut it off because the weapons manufacturers and the entrenched military industrial complex in the United States just loves it too much. So it's an impossible task. And the president of the United States is very limited. Tucker Carlson reported as he went and flew and met with Trump last week or right before the war broke out. And as Tucker said, he got the sense from Trump that he really did not want to go to war with Iran, but that ship had already sailed and he really didn't have a choice, that it was already, the forces were already in place and he almost had no choice, that he was doing it reluctantly on behalf of Israel, of course. So, but I mean, whether or not you believe that or not, I don't know. But I mean, it's, you know, at some point, wouldn't it be amazing if we had a president with balls that was able to say, sorry, Bibi. Like, I know you've like bought and sold the United States for decades. You tell us what to do. Almost every member of Congress is owned by you. Not anymore. We're done.
You know, for me, that just lays credence to the whole blackmail ring. Because it just feels like, you know, because there's been times he stood up to him, but it seems like at the end of the day, he ends up doing what he wants. And that just tells you there has to be some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, when you look at like the you know, if it's the money they're giving him, like, reward doesn't get you to do things that you don't want to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be the opposite. It's got to be fear, and that would be blackmail to me.
Yeah. Are these super chats updating, David? I want to take some more super chats here in a second.
Hey, Grim, can you pop in there and see if that's updating?
Because there's only one from before the show started, so it doesn't seem correct. But I want to get some of your...
If you lost internet, it probably
okay.
Pause that connection. So
all right, well, we'll do that. I definitely want to take some of these chat messages because they just fly by so fast, and I want to hear from you guys. So please, we'll treat it like a like a coast to coast AM call-in show, because the internet. And because the attacks on our network today, I'll just open it up to you guys. So we'll just do that here. Yeah, we'll do that. But first, I want to tell you about gold, because right now, I mean, gold, silver, let's just check the price of gold right now with what's happening in the world. Again, do you want your family's future tied to the US dollar? So here we are, the price of gold. Recover. Look at that bounce back on gold. Holy smokes. So here we go. On the left side of your screen is gold prices. On the right side is silver. Look at that. Nice jump up from the 70s back to 86, almost hitting 90 for silver prices right now. So with all of this fluctuation in the markets, do you want your family's future tied to the US dollar? I can tell you that we don't personally. In my family, our family's future is tied to real estate and gold and silver, like real tangible assets. That's just what I believe. I'm not, and of course I have a portion of my portfolio in stocks and, but almost overwhelmingly it's precious metals and real estate because I believe in tangible assets. I believe in things that have been around for 5,000 years. That's just how I operate. And that's exactly what precious metals have done during crazy times of turmoil. Every government currency in world history has collapsed. All of them. All of them. Not one has survived. Do you think the US dollar is going to be the one that will be around forever? Of course not. But gold and silver have been. And in times of turmoil, that's exactly what's happened. People have turned to gold and silver to make sure that they're protected. And so that's what I've done with my family, just to protect my kids' future. I mean, I have my kids' college funds tied to silver and gold on purpose. And our friends at Lear Capital have helped us. They're the ones that I work with personally. So you can have gold coins, silver coins sent right to your house can store them in your gun safe. They will facilitate that for you. Or Lear can actually help you. You can have it stored in an off-site facility that's under 24-hour guarded protection, like a Fort Knox, basically like a Fort Knox. But they will walk you through the whole process. They're an American company helping Americans. So yeah, I'm sorry. We get a lot of people that are like, hey, can Lear help us in Canada? Can Lear help us in the UK? Unfortunately, it's an American company only, so we can't be sending gold across the ocean and all that kind of stuff. So go to LearRedacted.com is the website if you want to learn more. But I recommend just getting on the phone and calling them. Call 1-800-613-3557 for your free gold and silver guide. They're a great company. They'll talk with you on the phone. And they're an education company first. So no obligation at all. Just get on the phone, free phone call, have a conversation with them. And right now you can receive up to $20,000 in free bonus medals with a qualified purchase. So go to LearRedacted.com or I always say it's better just to get on the phone. Call them 1-800-613-3557. Have a conversation with a real human being. You won't be outsourced to India, some call center in India somewhere. You'll speak to an American. That's the way it should be for customer service. So our thanks to Lear for supporting the show. All right, we got some chats back up here. Thank you, Grim, for making that happen. Let's see. Kay Corvin says, thanks for always sharing the truth, no matter who it makes mad. One of the very few shows that I get my current events from. Thank you, Kay Corvin. Appreciate that. That was a Rumble rant. 7 Rank Speece says, do you remember Trump was against the 9/11 war? Now Trump is friends with Al-Qaeda, Syria, Afghanistan president. LOL, the U.S. are putting back terrorists as government. I know. That's the thing. We love to partner with terrorists, and then we love to, like, a decade later, bomb them and pretend that they weren't our friend for the last 10 years, like Al-Qaeda. Like ISIS now running, of course, or Al-Nusra now running Syria, of course. Love Leah says, I've been seeing these commercials about recruiting for the American military. It's so cute. The commercials are fantastic, but they always use a black African American and an African American family. Well, of course. Of course. Because they'll go into those communities and make a big case for it. U.S. gold stored at Fort Knox, 3 mining facilities and 1 banking facility. Where the heck is the inventory total? That's a good question, Sherry. I would like to know that. His plan is to hit Cuba next. Ugh. Ron Archer, thank you for the kind words. Ron says, I wish I'd voted for Clayton. All wars would have ended and there'd be no problems left to solve. That's right. I'm a problem solver. Just ask my wife. Like, if she's ever got a problem, I'll solve it. Like, immediately. It's amazing how that works. And then you find out that as a wife, she doesn't want you to solve the problem. She just wants you to listen.
You sound like Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, but if you'd have sent Natalie as first lady to the UN Security Council to do it, would have been an entirely different UN Security Council when she was done with it.
Instead of Melania. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, no problems. That's the thing. I'm vehemently anti-war, but he means Iran kicked our ass? Yeah, that's true.
You know what really pisses me off is when people that claim to be anti-war, but then they turn around like, but this is a limited strike, so I can get behind this. This needs to happen. Iran is bad.
Then you're gonna hear all like, oh no, the doomers were wrong. Yeah, that's the thing you're gonna hear next, right? Oh, Trump declared victory, mission accomplished. See, all the doomers were wrong. Americans are fine. Fine. You know what? That's great. Take your little victory lap. Go on Fox News and pretend that you just beat Iran in a war. Okay. And continue to not show the American military bases that were destroyed, and then continue to not tell the American people how many people were actually killed or wounded on the American side. Keep those quiet, okay? You got to keep this propaganda going.
But I think the part of the equation that it just doesn't seem like they're adding in is just because Trump says, okay, now it's over, that does not mean Iran is going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, you attacked us out of the blue, killed our supreme leader, we're good. There's no guarantee that they're not going to keep. Yeah, there's no guarantee that they're not just going to keep fighting. Why, because what guarantee do they have that what we're saying it's done, that we're not just going to turn around and do it again? I mean, I just don't see what the carrot is for them.
Eagle 262 says he declared victory over the Houthis too. That's true. We hit them 1,000 times and it did nothing to them. 1,000 different targets. And nothing happened. Nothing changed. And so what did we do? We walked away from battling the Houthis. Oh, man.
By the way, should I keep running the music for your super chats, or did you pull it down?
Yeah, I like it.
That kind of makes
Keep
it nice.
going.
Yeah, I like it.
It's nice.
It makes it nice.
Fireside chats.
Hey, you says the gold in Fort Knox is gone. We don't know that for sure. Been still waiting for that audit. There's been a couple of people.
Didn't you see the live stream?
Right. But yeah, you're right. It's not the best example of secure, but people think of it as secure, right? When you think of like Fort Knox, but no, actually Lear keeps it. I think they work with a Delaware. It's under security in Delaware. Clayton is coping. Am I coping? Yeah, I think maybe I am coping. Let's see. Treat Cheese says Clayton, it's never too late to quit being a douche. I always say the same thing. I think you're right about that. That gold is gone. Man, these fly by so fast. Super chat with the boys. Where is the gold in Fort Knox? Trump lied again. I don't know where it is. Senator Rand Paul says that he got confirmation it was there. So, I don't know. He's the Kentucky senator from that state. So, but I would like for them to go and actually see it with their eyes. Douche.
Make sure it's not pyrite.
Total doucher. Any people from Israel? Did anybody from Israel go to war, or was it just Americans, Scorpio? IDF definitely went to war, but mostly it was Americans assisting in that, of course.
Careful, you're going to kill our internet again.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. This is flying by so fast. Keep on going, Clayton. I will keep going. Douche canoe. Douche canoe. I don't know. Douche canoe. Stossel stole the gold. I used to work with Stossel.
He seems like a cool dude. I don't know.
He's a weird one. I'll tell you that.
Oh, he seems eccentric, but he seems like he's pretty genuine, pretty cool. But I'm just going off of what I've seen on TV.
Tadas says Clayton isn't a douche. No, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm willing to admit if I'm a douche from time to time, or a dick, or an asshole. I can be an asshole. I definitely have. I don't suffer fools. I just, and that's when my asshole side comes out. And I have a very small fuse when that happens. And I kind of flip out when that happens. So I like to play nice, but I have a very short fuse for fools and douches. Stossel is weird. So Richie Dupe says I'm a dick. Welcome to the Dick Club.
Well, his name is Richard, so
it's true. Douche and asshole working hand in hand.
I think they're using it wrong, if that's the case.
Chase says is the only real channel that isn't full of fake news. Thank you. Well, the thing, what helps for us is that we don't have an agenda. So, if you were able to show us evidence of something, we'll show you the evidence of something. We're not going to hide it from you. So,
yeah, your agenda is pretty much eating and picking up kids.
Yeah. Sam Elliott was called a dick. Yeah. Catman says, I thought you were going to say something else when you said you had a short something or other. No, just a short fuse. Just a short fuse.
I almost said I'm glad you said fuse after that because I didn't know where you were going with it.
That's what she said. Take over the mainstream media. That's the thing. I mean, you just see the fake news on mainstream media. It's just so despicable. You know, I don't know how people watch that stuff, but the average age, of course, of those mainstream media viewers is like mid 70s. So they're not adding new viewers. Like, do you know any young person out there who's like, hey, I want to get a cable subscription so I can watch CNN? Hey, I want to get a cable subscription so I can watch Fox News. Like, do you know anyone that says that? Of course not. So they're all dying off. I mean, they're losing their audience. That's why you're seeing Sean Hannity roll out this new podcast show where he's going to be like laid back Sean Hannity in jeans, and it's going to be like a 2-hour like kickback, and it's called Hangout with Sean Hannity or something like that. He's going to be on a couch wearing jeans and just like he's just like one of you, you know. He's like a real person. He's going to talk about
how'd that go for CNN Plus,
right?
I was just going to ask if he was going to premiere the show on CNN Plus, or are they coming out with a new Fox Plus app?
Eloise O'Grady, are you going to have JP on again? Yeah, you know, we did a 2-part deep dive with JP. I'd love to have JP on again. I talk to him like every day, to be honest with you. We text like every day about different stories, stuff that I can't report on, like stuff that crazy stuff that he's like, I can't share. So I'd love to have him on when he's able to, and for sure. Thank you, guys. A military coup in the USA? I think that would be highly unlikely, but you never say never to anything, right? So thank you guys for all of your chats. I really appreciate it. I quit Operation Mockingbird 25 years ago. Yeah, that's the mainstream media. I stopped watching mainstream media before COVID, Shannon says. Yeah, good for you. I did too. Fox is broadcast on Rumble? Really? Gosh. Tucker wannabe. Hannity? Yeah. He's like, oh, I still have to work here. He wears his CIA pin on the air. He's still working for the mainstream media, but he's going to do like a hangout show with Sean Hannity where he's going to just be one of the people. Okay.
They have to be sweating in their boots behind the scenes because they have to see, you know, you look at the people that are telling the truth, like Tucker and Candace and Dave Smith and people like that. And then you look at the numbers of like Hannity and those people, they have to be sweating bullets. And they're so desperate to get the attention that these other people are getting, but they'll never get it because they lie.
Yeah. Stossel. Read Stossel's book called Give Me a Break around 2003 opened my eyes to a lot, including libertarianism and that we don't have to fit in to one of two parties. Yeah, I mean, I've always appreciated John for his libertarian point of view, and I think he does an incredible job with his investigative journalism. I had pizza at Stossel's house one night. Because I was the Fox Tech guy, though, also he wanted me to see if I could fix his computer. So it's pizza and fix his computer. I'm like, all right. Cowrie says, I just went away. I'm a Vietnam veteran, 77 years old, and I love your show. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you for your service. Anyone else here into sourdough? Freedom wants to know. We love sourdough.
I love sourdough. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of rye bread, by the way. I know it's not a popular opinion, but I love...
That's my favorite.
I had a feeling you, of all people, because of your love of like kimchi and like just a little extra flavor.
Give me a dill rye. Yep, that dill rye. You ever have that?
You're a man that has good taste. You like things with taste.
I agree.
And rye bread...
I agree. I liked it.
Has, I think, the most taste of any bread.
I would agree.
But I do love a good sourdough. Hey, I should mention we do have a daily newsletter, and it'll publish tomorrow. We do. If you go to redacted.inc and put in your email address, you will receive the newsletter tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, in your inbox. So what it is, you go to redacted.inc, click on the top of the page there where it says newsletter, just click sign up, and then you'll receive a welcome email from me, my email address, just clayton@redacted.inc. You just need to confirm that you want to receive it. Move it. It might go to your spam folder. Gmail labels our newsletter as dangerous, so it might go into your dangerous folder. Just drag it over to your inbox so that tomorrow morning, first thing, you will receive the newsletter. Very exciting. We're planning a nice little expansion of our newsletter, and I'm very excited about it. So, and hundreds of thousands of you are subscribed to the newsletter. So, and that's no joke. I love it. I love that we have so many of you connected, because it's a way for us to stay connected with you as well. Like during COVID, when YouTube shut our channel down because we were reporting the truth, the only way we had to stay connected to you was through our newsletter. Like, that was it. Because YouTube wouldn't even let us make a community post when they shut us down. So the only way we were able to stay connected is to be able to send you an email and say, hey, sorry guys, our show has been banned. We can't do anything.
I'm not a newsletter guy, but I really actually enjoy our newsletter. Like, I read it myself in the morning. It's really well written, and it's got some humor in it. Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah, we try to cover the stories that you might have missed while you were sleeping, plus some of the stories the mainstream media is not covering, of course. So, just like our name implies, redacted. Stories that they try to keep from you. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. Sorry about all of the attacks on our network and everything that was happening. Sorry that we lost our guests. Sorry for everything today. So thanks for hanging out with me. I hope I brought you some value despite all of that mess. We'll try it again tomorrow. We're going to try to do some things to protect our network from any of these attacks to the best of our ability tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So we will be here. We will prepare an entire show for you. So if those effers want to keep effing with us, well, we'll just keep effing with them. And that's how we'll do it. We'll just keep rolling that way. We're not going to give up. So F you. F you. Love to all of you guys, though, for watching. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone.